Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Marvel-ous Movie Mondays. I am one of the co-hosts of the show, Dylan.
I'm your other co-host, Kelsey.
How you doing, Kelsey? Happy Monday.
I'm good. I'm sorry, Dill. I'm a little tired, a little low energy today, just because I was just at the mall all day shopping because my family and I are going to Ireland in August. I'm very excited about that.
Very exciting.
So I've been doing some very heavy duty outfit prep for that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
are you doing like the Irish colors, like the orange and greens, or are you just like...
I mean, I don't want to look that much like a tourist. I'm gonna try to blend in as much as possible.
That's a good point. Yeah,
I've only been out of the country 2 times. Actually, that's such a lie because I've gone to the Bahamas, I think, at least twice. Okay. But like, I've been to Canada and I've been to London like 2 years ago now. And every time I'm out of the country, I try to appear not as not American as possible, just because I know we're not received well in other parts of the world. People
I don't blame them
when Americans are in their country, especially in France for some reason. But I'm going to try to look like a local as much as I can.
And we will, of course, plan ahead for all you listeners as to what we're going to do during that time, whether or not it's just going to be me writing solo or we pre-tape or something. We'll figure it out. We have cool stuff planned for like the next few weeks. We will announce what we're doing next week at the end of the show. But as always, you're here for this podcast about episode 6 of Loki, also the season finale, not the series finale, as we all were expecting, or maybe some weren't expecting. I don't know. We'll talk about that.
Well, we could have said that at the end.
Well, I mean, it's in the thumbnail, season finale, so people know. And if you're watching this, you probably...
I saw season finale, and it didn't like bother me at all. Like, I didn't think anything of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I see. The whole time I thought it was a series finale, but we'll get into it, and that's important in just like kind of reviewing the episode as a whole to see like what were our expectations, and now that we know that it's not the end of the story, like, does it make it more effective? Does it make it less effective? We'll talk. But before we get to that, we have Marvel news as always to cover to just let you know what's going on in the Marvel universe, in the real Marvel universe, because there's a lot always. So Kelsey, what do you have to talk about this week?
I just have a little tidbit of personal news. I did have to get a new notebook. If you listen to last week's episode, I did tell you, and you heard, I said that I ran out of all my pages in my notebook. So I got a new notebook.
Oh,
and
it's a Marvel
Spider-Man, and it says amazing on it, and there's a little Spider-Man on it. So
wow.
Yeah,
I was gonna say none of the fans sent you anything like we asked.
Oh, I didn't give my address.
Oh, right, we
and I didn't expect anything.
But they were supposed to send it via like Harry Potter owl mail.
Oh, right.
And they disappointed. So fans, come on. I shouldn't say fans, viewers, because like we're not at the point yet where we have fans yet. I don't know. Maybe we do. My news is a little bit more involved.
Yeah, for sure. I just wanted to show everyone my new notebook.
That's a very nice new notebook. We'll put the link for the notebook down there to promote it if you all want to buy a notebook just like Kelsey, or unless Kelsey you want to be the only one, then I won't put it in there. But anyway,
we can be twinsies with our notebook.
Great. So check out the YouTube bio and pick up a notebook of your own and then show it to us. Send us pictures of you and your notebook, and then we might put you on the show. I don't know. I really don't know how many people are actually like gonna do that. But anyway, we got a lot of Emmy nominations for both WandaVision and some for Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So I was just gonna rattle off a few of them, not all of them, but there were 23 nominations for WandaVision, which was the 3rd most nominated of any series this year. Really, really amazing effort, including, of course, Elizabeth Olsen, Paul Bettany, Catherine Hahn as Agatha Harkness. Agatha all along nabbed a nomination for Outstanding Music and Lyrics. It just got a lot of great nominations across the board. Best Limited Series. It was nominated for the Best Miniseries, along with like Queen's Gambit and Mayor of Easttown, which are like high bars to meet. So I think it's definitely deserving. And then, of course, a lot of other ones about like the design and the intros to the theme songs, all that. And then Falcon and the Winter Soldier got 5. And one of them, their most prestigious, of course, they got Sound Award, they got Stunt Awards, they got Visual Effects. But the one like major category they got nominated in was Best Guest Actor for Don Cheadle. And as we know, Don Cheadle is in maybe 5 minutes of it. So, Kels, I saw Don Cheadle's reaction. I want to know, what is your reaction to that?
I saw that. That was the one nomination that I saw for Falcon and the Winter Soldier, because I think I only saw like the actors and like the director nominees. I didn't see any technical nominations.
Because it wasn't really up for a lot. It's not. It's only 5 nominees.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to see more, because I know there had to have been more for it, because I was expecting to see more for WandaVision, because I definitely didn't see 23 nominations for WandaVision. I was like, where are the rest of them? Right. But yeah, I thought that was like a super interesting choice. Maybe they just needed some filler. Maybe they were like, we need at least one more nominee. Who should it be?
My thing is that
I don't know.
TV, there's so much more to watch than movies, because there's episodes and episodes and episodes. So I'm wondering if people who hadn't even seen it were like, oh, Don Cheadle's in that? Cool. I'll throw him as one of my 5 on my list. And then he ends up making it. Because Wyatt Russell doesn't get nominated. Even Julia Louis-Dreyfus, who has a bigger part, doesn't get nominated. You know, the two themselves, Bucky and Sam don't. Like, there's one nomination.
I don't think that Wyatt Russell is really a guest actor on that show.
No, I'm just saying in general.
He's definitely like a co-star.
Supporting.
I don't know.
Yeah, he's supporting for sure.
Yeah,
because there's lead supporting guest. But even then, like, if we're just talking guest, I do think like there were more effective guest roles in all those shows, in WandaVision even. So it's interesting. But
oh my God, Evan Peters could have been nominated. I feel like
he was I think he was campaigned in supporting. I'm not sure, because he got nominated for supporting, but is he in Mare of Easttown? Is that the show he got nominated for?
Oh yeah, he is in Mare of Easttown.
So he got nominated for that against other people for the miniseries award.
Oh, okay.
Including a few actors from Hamilton as well, Anthony Ramos, David Diggs, because Hamilton is considered a TV special because it was on Disney Plus. It's very weird.
Wait,
how
that's
people are classifying.
So weird.
I know. So Hamilton continues to get nominated for everything, but yeah, just an interesting nominations across the board. I think WandaVision's, all of them are earned, and all of them. I don't know if Elizabeth Olsen has a competition, because Kate Winslet's in there for Mare of Easttown. You also have Anya Taylor-Joy for Queen's Gambit. The actress from I May Destroy You. Like, that's a tough category. Paul Bettany, though, I feel like he could win. I feel like he has a good shot, just because, you know, his category is a little less competitive. He's got Hugh Grant from The Undoing that he's up against, but I think he might have a shot. So we're hoping for both of you, for all of you, all the nominations. We'd love to see you win. That'll be in September, so we won't talk about it for a long time. Let's dive into this episode, though, because it is the season finale, as we said. Can we just really quickly just talk about that? Because I know it's at the end, but I do think it's important to address that at least I thought this was a miniseries. You know, it was directed by one person, which already makes it a miniseries, because if it's directed by multiple people, each episode's a different director, it's not considered a miniseries. But this was all directed by the same person. It was marketed to be only 6 episodes, fit in at this point in the storyline. So when, of course, we get the reveal that it's not the end and there's more, did that lessen the end impact for you? Did that make it less... like, what did you feel about that?
I mean, it didn't make the ending for me less impactful in any way. Like, I still enjoyed the ending, because like the other 2 series that we got, I knew that it was going to end like with not all the questions being answered.
Right.
For me, I mean, like, I'm stoked, obviously, that we're getting a second season. Like, I will always watch Tom Hiddleston be Loki. Like, there's never gonna be a scenario where I'm not gonna hear that, oh, he's still playing Loki in this project. Oh my God, I'm always gonna feel that. Right. For me, it just makes me upset, just because I feel like Loki's no longer gonna be a part of the movies anymore.
Well, that I don't even know. That's a weird thing, is like, now that it's going to be multiple seasons, does that mean season 2 is going to take place at a different point in the MCU timeline? Or is it supposed to be, because when we go through and watch these movies, of course, it's like Captain Marvel takes place earlier than it was released. And like Black Panther takes place right after Civil War. Now Black Widow takes place after Civil War. Like, there's a lot of like different finagling that when it's now multiple seasons, now that's even more branches essentially to this MCU timeline.
Well,
And I think the problem is, like, looking back, I thought it was going to be the end. So when that last shot ends and it goes to credits, I just feel like, well, there's no closure. But then they're like, oh, it continues on. But at the same time, I feel like every season needs at least some sort of closure to at least, like, feel complete in itself. Like, I think of Stranger Things. each season kind of stands on its own. It is one series, and there are cliffhangers, but it's like each season can be watched on its own without having to necessarily go back, without having to, connect the two. And I'm almost wondering, if you're going to do six episodes in season 2, why not just do a 12 episode miniseries? You know what I mean? Just like do it all at once instead of. So I really don't know what their plan is, but we'll get into the actual episode itself, because it's confusing. It's really confusing knowing where exactly it's going to go from here. But we'll theorize at the end. Kelsey, why don't you give us your brief synopsis on the episode and then take us in to the journey of Loki.
Loki, season 1, episode 6, For All Time, Always. Sylvie and Loki figure out who's been in control of the TVA and are given a very interesting proposition.
That's right.
So this episode starts right after our recap with the Marvel credits rolling. And instead of any music of any kind, we do hear a song, but we don't hear the typical Marvel intro that we're used to hearing. We hear Steve and Peggy's song. Their dance song.
That's all over TikTok. Just
exactly. And then we hear a slew of dialogue from all the movies throughout the 23 films, or 24 films now that Black Widow is officially out. We hear Sam Wilson say, "Way to go, Tic Tac." Hope says, "That's how you punch." We hear a Hulk roar. We hear T'Challa say, "Wakanda forever." We hear Scott say, "No, you wouldn't have heard of me." Nat, we hear her say, "Let me put you on hold." We hear Peter Quill say, "Dance off, bro." Thor, he's a friend from work. Steve, "I can do this all day." "Yeah, I know." Hank, "I'll show you ferocity." Carol, "Higher, further, faster, baby." Loki, "We have a Hulk." Korg, "We're going to jump on that spaceship and get out of here. Want to come?" Bucky, "Who the hell is Bucky?" Quill, "I have part of a plan." Fury, "Hey kid." Hulk, "Puny God." We hear a quote from Neil Armstrong. We hear a Nelson Mandela quote. We hear a quote from Greta Thunberg, a Malala quote, and we end on Vision saying, "What is grief if not love persevering?"
It was a lot, and I loved it. I loved the opening. I was like, "Ooh, we're getting."
I was like, "What is happening? Why are we getting reminded of all these different moments? Why is it like these specific pieces of dialogue being selected?"
I don't even know. Yeah, I think it's just kind of a way to be like, this is now a worldly, like this affects everything, like this whole timeline thing. I really think that was just the purpose of it, and because it gets a little boring hearing the same thing over and over again. And I think it's cool that they kind of switched it up a little bit. They already put the green on the title. Now what do we do? So
but we know Marvel, and we know everything that they do is with a purpose. So
yeah, exactly.
I want to know.
Yeah, well, maybe we'll never find out. Who knows?
So we have this very quick shot of Loki and Sylvie outside the castle, just to remind us of where we left off. And the Loki credits roll. So then we go into scene 1, where Loki and Sylvie are standing right outside the door. Sylvie is working up the courage, I guess, to either kick it down. She's waiting for Loki to say something to her. He's like, "I have nothing to say." She's like, "That's a first." And then we hear Sylvie say this really interesting line, which I don't understand if she meant what she said or what happened, but she says, "I was pruned before you even existed. I just need to like give myself a minute to like work up, get my head on straight or something."
Yeah.
And I'm like,
maybe she's just referring to when she got pulled out of her timeline. Like she got pruned from her timeline.
Yeah, but she didn't get pruned until she pruned herself, or at least that's what I thought.
Right, well, they took her away, but then you see they did reset the timeline, and it kind of pruned all her other shit.
Sure. Maybe that's what she meant.
That's what I took it as, but I don't know. That's a good point.
I was just like, I heard that, and I was like, wait, did I hear that right? Did she just say she got pruned? I don't know.
Yeah.
So then the door opens by itself before anyone can do any kicking of it down, and we open to a very marble-looking castle-like, museum-esque building where we see 2 statues. And before we can get too far, who pops out of nowhere? None other than Miss Minutes herself.
My girl.
So she says that they're at the Citadel at the end of time, and that they're about to meet He Who Remains. And she offers him, she says, he has a deal for you. You can both be reinserted into the timeline and go on to live your lives as you've always wanted to, and the TVA can still function as is, and you don't try to take down the TVA right now, basically. And Loki and Sylvie, she promises Loki, you can even wield the Infinity Gauntlet if you want. You can kill Thanos and all 6 Infinity Stones can be yours. But they decline her offer and say that they're writing their own destiny now. And she's like, yeah, all right, we'll see about that. And she...
Yeah. So she's in on it. But, like, I don't even think it's even malicious. I think she's just, like, doing her job, you know?
Yeah. I mean, she's like a computer program. Like,
right. I'm still
how
like,
much malicious intent can she have, you know?
Like, my heart's not changing.
No, I know. You're never going to be swayed no matter what.
My Halloween costume. I need to like her. She's my Halloween costume. I already bought it. The materials. I didn't build it yet.
Oh, I thought you were like I thought you were telling me that they already have like Miss Minutes costumes that you already bought.
There's probably some cosplayers who do have it, but
they're probably like already working on it for Comic-Con. Honestly, the people who make their outfits for Comic-Con, there's a whole episode about it. There's a docu-series on MCU on Disney Plus under the Marvel section. Obviously, it's called 616, I'm pretty sure. And there's a whole episode on Comic-Con and cosplayers and how these people make their outfits and how they choose to like what they choose to be and why they do it. And it's so interesting. And I just wish I had like the creativity and patience that they do to just handcraft these outfits.
Yeah, no, mine's just an orange hula hoop.
That's how far you've gotten?
That's how far. It's somewhere. It's further than I got with my last costume before Halloween. Because
I cannot believe Halloween, you're being Miss Minutes.
We'll see.
I can't wait.
Maybe something else. Maybe we'll get something in Hawkeye that's just even cooler, and I'll have to be that.
We'll see. So then we see, we cut back to the TVA where we see Ravonna, and she is, you know, packing up a briefcase. She's downloading something on her TemPad. Miss Minutes appears and is like, and she's like, where have you been? And she's like, oh, like, you know, some other things had to be taken care of, but I'm downloading the files that you asked for. She opens up her TemPad. She's like, this isn't what I asked for. But Miss Minutes just slyly says, yeah, but he thinks that will be more helpful. And boom, she disappears. So then we're back in the castle building, Hogwarts-esque looking place, where they walk into another room where, I don't know if you noticed this, Dale, but there are 3 more statues and 1 statue that has been completely demolished. So I don't know if this is purposeful because they believe that there's 3 timekeepers and then this demolished statue, like, was there supposed to be a 4th timekeeper? What happened to this 4th timekeeper?
So there's 3 and then 1 more.
There's 3 statues that are perfectly fine, and then there's 1 statue that has just been destroyed, and like the remains are just scattered on the floor. And I saw this and I was like, that looks fishy. I literally wrote down how that happened. Okay, so then another door opens and a guy in purple appears eating a green apple. And for a second, I saw him, like, you know, just as he was sitting there in that room. And I was like, is that Mordo from Doctor Strange? Because that theory has been tossed around TikTok. I wasn't buying it into a second. And I was like, did TikTok really just call this reveal right now? No. Is Mordo behind the TVA?
No.
It's not.
Yeah.
So,
and we will save his name because we never hear his name. So
we never hear his name.
Yeah. We are led to believe it's someone, but maybe.
Right. But we don't really know who this guy is.
Right. But Jonathan Majors is the actor and just incredible. But we'll get there.
We'll get there when we get there. So he says, come on, let's talk in my office. They realize that he's just a man, and Sylvie is stoked because she's like, that means you're just flesh and blood. You're easy to kill. But every time she tries to kill him, he's able to transport himself into a different aspect of the room. They meet him. They go up into the elevator to his office where we cut back to the TVA where Mobius finally has this interaction with Ravonna. And he's like, you know, he made it out of the void. She's like, if anyone can make it out of the void, it would be you. And he's like, yeah, well, one man's void is another man's like walk in the park or whatever. And he's like, what are you doing? Like, the timekeepers aren't real. Like, we're all variants. Like, all of this has been a lie. And she's like, well, it couldn't have been all for nothing. Like, I have to believe that this is all for like a good reason. So then she commands like the other agents to come and like get Mobius like out of her office. And he's like, no, that's not going to work, because actually I teamed up with B-15 and we found out your secret. So instead, now all of the agents are going to be on Mobius and B-15 side, because they revealed the truth that Ravonna, Judge Renslayer, as they call her, was just another person on Earth, a principal in Ohio of Franklin D. Roosevelt High School. Yep. That is what she was doing.
And I think this is kind of where I was kind of right, where it's like she's not malicious about anything. She's just kind of doing her job. Because I do truly believe now that she did not know that the timekeepers were phonies. Because I really don't think she did. And I think it was just kind of like when that happened, she was like, okay, now I need to figure out what the fuck is going on and stay calm. And that's what made her prune Loki. And then, because her whole goal was to prune Loki and Sylvie still. Like, she's the antagonist to them, but I don't think she's necessarily like the mwahaha mastermind behind the TVA. Right. And I think it's evident with this episode. But the question is, we're going to get there in a sec, where does she hop off to? And that's an interesting question.
Right, exactly. So then we're at C5. We're back at the Citadel, as I've named it for this scene and this scene only, according to my notes. He says this man that they meet, he already knows everything that's going to happen. I wrote... I mean, I guess we could talk about this at the end, but I did write down in my notes, I'm like, this guy is so irritating. Really? And maybe he's supposed to be, unlikable, but I was just so irritated. Maybe I just hated watching Sylvie and Loki lose.
Well, he's also a villain, so you're not supposed to root for him. But
I guess, but he's not really a villain.
Variant. Yeah, exactly.
This is the good version of him, exactly. Yeah. So I feel like he should have been more like I don't know, like nerdy and like, oh, like no, like I'm doing everything for a good reason. But he was like, welcome. Like,
I thought the opposite. I thought he was like kind of like, I loved how he was like kind of funny and cool and like kind of just a trickster almost. Like he knows he's smarter than everyone else in the room, which I know what you mean. Like, it's harder to see Loki and Sylvie not be the smartest people in the room, but you know, it's a good challenge for them. I think I love the performance. I thought I was eating it all up, but again, like, I get what you mean. Like, he was irritating because he was such an obstacle for their goals.
It's especially because in this scene, he goes on this whole rant. They were like, no, like, you lost. Like, we beat you. We beat Eliath. We broke out of your game. We got here. And he's like, no. I allowed it all to happen. Like, I paved the way for you. You just walked down the path. And it's like, if that were me, if I was Sylvie or Loki, I would be fuming. I get angry talking about it because I was just so upset for them. I'm like, everything that they did, they thought they were just like conning the con, you know, outsmarting the mastermind. But the entire time he was like, no, like everything you did was already predetermined.
Well, it kind of reminds me of Infinity War, how Loki is the villain of the Avengers. Like, Loki is the biggest threat in the entire phase 1. Then we get to Infinity War and Thanos snaps his neck in half. And it's like the person who was the most feared person in the first phase is now getting crushed by this other person. It's like there's always gonna be someone more powerful down the line. I mean, it reminded me of, I hate to say it, but the Mephisto talk, where it's like Thanos was bad, wait till you get to Mephisto. And it's like, I get that they're climbing the ladder now where there's even greater evils, and I think this person, I'm not gonna say his name, but like, I think they might be even more scary than someone like Thanos, because they have this extra added element of the time travel and the variance and just the all-knowing, like what is going on. And I think that's incredibly effective as a villain. And I think it's right for you to not like him because he's frustrating, because that's the role of the villain, is first and foremost to provide the obstacle for our protagonist. So I think they did it effectively. Do you still think do you thought the performance was okay, or you just didn't like any of it?
I think that the performance was probably good, and that's why I don't like him. Okay. You know, like I think the actor did his job.
That's how I feel about Umbridge.
It's Umbridge.
Order of the Phoenix is my least favorite movie in that series of the 8, not the Fantastic Beasts movies, but that's the least favorite movie of that series because I just can't stand her. Every time she's on screen, I want to skip past it just because she plays it so well that she's so irritating. Yeah. So I get what you mean. Yeah.
So then we're back at the TVA, and Ravonna basically tells Mobius that she wants to keep the lie going, that, you know, this all has to be for a reason. Mobius thinks that people should have free will. He's like, we can't take people's free will away. Can't you see that? And Ravonna, who we thought the entire time Ravonna betrayed Loki by pruning him and sending him off to the void, where this entire time Ravonna has felt betrayed by him, where he started working so closely with the Lokis and turning to, you know, Sylvie and Loki for help and for guidance and for all this stuff. She was like, you threw our friendship away to work with them. I told you not to, and you disobeyed me, and that hurt. And it's like, I don't know. Like, your betrayal was much worse. Like, pruning Mobius was like so much worse than everything that he did. Like, I think she just said that just to make herself look like more of a, I don't know, not a villain, I guess. But I just thought that was such like a weak argument to have. Yeah. And, you know, Mobius goes to prune her, or at least stop her before she walks into this portal that she's made herself. And he's no match for Ravonna. She immediately just like kicks him. He lands like into the table and couches, and he's like, yeah, you're right. I guess I was no match for you.
Yeah, no, but she's a badass. She is.
Yeah. She's cool, I guess. If I'm not, you know, when I'm not distrusting her, you know?
Right.
So instead of pruning Mobius, she turns the prune stick off and she just like heads on into the portal. He asks her, where are you going? And she says, I'm going to search in search of free will, she says.
I wonder if she's going to see her origins and all that, because now she's realizing that Mobius is right, or she's partnered up with this all-knowing person and she's onto some other scheme. What do you think? Is it for the better or for worse? Like, do you think she's going to like do something evil, or like maybe?
No, I don't think she's going to do something evil. I don't even think she knows who's really in charge. Like, because even when Miss Minutes says like, oh, he thought that these files would be more useful, she's like, who? But before she can even answer, Miss Minutes is gone. So it's like,
good point.
I need to find answers within myself, because like she says, I need to believe that my life's work, everything that I've been doing hasn't been for nothing. You know, I feel like I can totally understand where she's coming from. You know, when you dedicate your life to something, your way of life, you completely reject your old way. You're like, this is what I'm doing now. It's like to realize that like, oh, I've just been doing this to like keep up appearances, and this has all been a smoke and mirrors act. Like, you know, she could just be in her own stage of denial. She's like, no, I can't accept that I haven't been given free will all my life, because up until now I've been fine, you know? So then we cut back to the Citadel, and he says that everything would burn without him and the TVA. He's been given many names. He's been called a ruler, a conqueror, he who remains, and a jerk. And he basically takes them through what happened, because Sylvie's like, oh, so there was this multiversal war and then the Timekeepers came and saved everyone. And he's like, no, that's not what happened at all. So a variant of himself from the 31st century in Earth realized that there were universes stacked on top of his own. And he started to make contact with all those other variants of himself, you know, living on all those different timelines. At first, they, you know, were peaceful with one another. They shared ideas, technology, but, you know, not every variant had good intentions. Other variants saw the timeline as just another world to conquer. And that's when a multiversal war broke out. And so then one variant discovered Eliath and was basically able to end the multiversal war, because he's like, hey, you see this giant cloud monster? He's about to eat up your timeline. Like, do not mess with me. And he was able to get rid of all the other timelines other than his own. And he says this very interesting line at the end of his whole spiel, where he says, you came to kill the devil. And I'm not, and that's as far as I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say about that.
Yep.
Other people were talking about how he was eating an apple and how that relates to another biblical story involving an apple and a snake and a
that was my big
devil.
realization that I made that I was so happy to share at the end. I was gonna make you just ruined it.
Oh, well, you ruined it when I wanted to talk about Miss Minutes and how she was the voice of Dill Pickles on the Rugrats. So now we're even.
Right. Yeah, but no, it's that idea of, you know, the apple is symbolic, obviously, because the snake has the apple, and it's like they're trying to get the two, Adam and Eve, to bite. Adam doesn't want to, and Adam's like, "Hey, Eve, let's listen." And Eve is the one who bites the apple, and that's where everything goes to hell. So, what was your reaction?
You took it even further. I thought we were just making a devil theme. I didn't actually think that Loki and Sylvie were Adam and Eve.
Oh no, I totally did. Because again, Adam and Eve. Eve is born. Eve is one of Adam's ribs that was born of Adam. Sylvie is a variant of Loki, and they are in love, even though they are kind of the same person. And these two, there's a kiss, even though they're the same person. I thought it was very blatant, but again, you know, just when I saw the apple, I was like, "Oh, this is like the temptation of the Garden of Eden." He's tempting them, and Loki's the one who wants to play it cool. Be like, "Yeah, let's listen to him. Let's play it cool. Let's obey. Let's do what we're supposed to." And then Sylvie's like, "Nope, I'm rebelling." Takes a bite of the apple, metaphorically, and then that's when everything changes, and that's why when Loki's sent back, that's Adam being sent to the wasteland. That was what I interpreted it as. So maybe I am. So this is I am happy now that I get to share my full theory. So I guess the TikTok didn't go as far as that, but
no, TikTok did definitely not go as far as that at all.
Well, I'm proud of myself then.
No, you should be. That was great.
Yeah, which I kind of spoiled what would happen next, but you know.
Well, before we get into all of that, Sylvie just decides that she doesn't believe him, and he's like, "Listen, you have two options here. You can kill me, and all the other variants of myself, all the much more evil variants of myself, can come here and just take my place and make things even worse for you, or you." Sylvie and Loki can run the joint and
you can eat the apple or stay in the Garden of Eden.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So she tells him, you don't get it. You've just been you've been pruning innocent timelines. You've been, taking people just out of their, timelines. And he's like, it wasn't personal. It's practical. And she says, well, it was personal to me. And he yells at her to grow up and that they're all villains. And in this moment, I don't know how you felt, Dale, but I was like, he's not wrong.
No, he's not. That's the thing. He knows. He's
not wrong. Knows. He's not wrong to yell at Sylvie to grow up, but I think that by him just not trusting him or anyone for that matter, and by him yelling at her to grow up, I'm like, this is all feeding into the vengeance and the rage that she already has, bubbling in her this whole
thing is, I think
series,
this whole series too, Loki and Sylvie have been growing, but I think Loki's been doing a lot more permanent growth than Sylvie has. And this episode really shows that that she was not quite at the same level Loki was in terms of his growth and his acceptance of what really matters and who they are and loving themselves and trusting themselves and all that.
And I really think that's because of their two different, how they're coming, their childhoods, they had two different ways of coming up. And Loki had a real family. He believed up until when the events take place in Thor, he believed that Thor was his brother, Odin was his dad, Frigga was his mother. He had this sense of family and he was raised correctly. He wasn't raised to be, evil and a frost giant and all that stuff, where she didn't have that opportunity, And I think that it's that is the core of who Loki is. He's always had real people who've loved him. He's always had that relationship with Thor, and that's
even though he's never realized it. Exactly.
Right. But even in phase 1 and 2 Loki, he's always he's never gone fully evil to the point of no return, because he's always had that one thing holding him back, where like we see in this moment, he's like, hey, maybe we should hear this guy out. Maybe he's lying, but maybe he's not. But killing him and making this mistake is too great. This will affect everybody, not just us, if we make the wrong choice here. So we need to take a second where Sylvie's just ready to start swinging her machete around.
Right.
I think it says a lot about Loki and who he is and what he's been through.
Yeah.
So they finally reach this moment where He Who Remains says they just crossed over the threshold. So he reveals, he's like, hey, I know I said before that I know everything that's going to happen. That's not true, because as of 10 seconds ago, I have no idea what's happening, which is just fuel to Sylvie's fire. It's like, oh, you lied about that? Well, then you must have been lying about other things before.
But do you think he's lying? Do you think he does know what's coming next? Or do you think he is actually telling the truth?
No, because he's unable to stop Sylvie from killing him. And he just like lets it happen. He's like, well, this isn't my problem now. This is going to be my next variant's problem. So,
but at the same time, we'll talk about what happens at the very end of the episode too, and like what exactly he did do while he was still there to influence the rest. But it's a good point.
So Sylvie goes to kill him, and Loki is trying to stop her. Stop her desperately. He's like, maybe we should hear this guy out. Loki pretty much believes everything that He Who Remains is saying, and this makes Sylvie not trust Loki anymore, because she's like, oh, so you just want to take the throne. Like this, what I want and what I'm doing here doesn't matter to you at all. Like you just want to be, king of something. And he's like, maybe. Yeah, exactly. We know that's not true, because we've seen Loki lie before, and we know in this moment that he is absolutely not lying. He's like, no, that's not true. That's not what I want at all. Like, what? And he's like, maybe we're not meant to be together, because you can't trust and I can't be trusted. And they fight. They go into this epic fight sequence, and right before Sylvie's able to get him, Loki makes himself reappear. He transports himself like right in front of her, and it's just like, stop. He's like breaking down. This is his last effort to get Sylvie to stop trying to kill this guy. Tom Hiddleston is crying in the scene. There are tears pouring out of his eyes. And he says, I don't want to hurt you. I don't want a throne. I just want you to be okay. And Sylvie kisses him. And this kiss happens. And
How do you feel?
So the first time I watched it, I was like, this is the least amount of chemistry I've ever seen in a kiss in my entire life.
It did lack that.
And I think that's purposeful. Because I think this entire time, Loki has always been more into Sylvie than Sylvie's been into Loki. Because I think Sylvie's motives have clouded any chance that she has at forming relationships, because what she wants, which is vengeance, has been her main mission this entire time. She has been jumping through apocalypses to get this job done. And he's ready for love.
Because he's learning to love himself. And that's the whole metaphor. Is he's ready to love himself. She's not ready to love herself. Because she's not ready to love him, and he's ready to love her. So I think it's I think he's definitely he's in love with her. She's not. And I did see it as her trying to basically form a distraction to then boot him.
Yeah. I was like, this is it. This is the betrayal. This was the betrayal I was worried about from the second that blanket scene happened. And she said, how do I know you're not going to betray me in the end of this? I'm like, bitch, how do I know you're not going to betray me at the end of this? Oh, I did, because you did.
It's not malicious, but it's also like, just, she's not willing to let herself believe it yet. And I think that's powerful, but also irritating.
You're making me not hate Sylvie as much as I did in this moment, because anyone who fucks with Loki fucks with me, and I just
all the Avengers in 2012 then.
Me.
So Hulk and Iron Man.
They're all going to be hearing from me and my lawyer.
All right. Yeah, well,
for messing with Loki.
Turning your back on Cap, Kels. That's
okay. Well, when evil Loki's doing evil things because he thinks he can be king, obviously this is growth Loki.
Sweet
like when people mess with Loki in like Thor Ragnarok, that's when I'm gonna be up in arms.
Okay.
Because he's grown. He's a new guy now.
Yes, he really has. And this is before Dark World even happens.
So as the kiss happens, she turns them. So now she's on the other side of the desk, and she gets a hold of his temp pad and says, but I'm not you. Creates a portal, pushes Loki through it. And she sends him right through the portal, and she kills He Who Remains. And he just says on his last breath, see you soon.
Yeah. So Oh, and then we have one last scene. So
yeah,
keep going,
we
sorry.
do. So then we cut back to Mobius and B-15 looking at the screen, where now we see all of the branches, all the timelines are splitting, all the branches are forming, and Mobius says, "No turning back now." And B-15 replies with, "Who said anything about turning back?" And we cut to depressed Loki sitting in his chamber, all sad because it's the betrayal he never anticipated on experiencing. He's always, I feel like he's always very cautious about how much trust he puts into people. And he always has, kind of like 1 foot out the door every time, every relationship he's ever had. He's always had 1 foot out the door, ready to bolt as soon as there was a sign of trouble. But with Sylvie, I feel like his whole heart was in it. He was more than willing to trust her and, be with her in a timeline that, He Who Remains was going to create for them. And she just, stabbed him right in the back just to get what she wanted. And he gets up and he sets off to find Mobius. He pushes through a crowd of people. He ends up in the library. He finds B-15 and Mobius talking, and he starts explaining to them what happened. He goes, they're talking. They're like, "How are we going to undo all these branches?" And he's like, "You can't. Like, no one can. We made a terrible mistake. We killed the guy Sylvie killed the guy who was in charge. There's going to be multiple different variants of him coming in and ruining, like taking over. Like, we have to like start preparing." And Mobius is like, "Calm down. You're an alien. You're an analysis, right?" And what's the word?
Analyst.
Oh my God. I was like, it wasn't computing in my brain in that moment.
Okay,
You're an analyst, right? What's your name? What division are you in? And in that moment, we realize, oh my God, that's not Mobius from our timeline. And then Loki turns to a statue, and it's not one of the 3 timekeepers. It is He Who Remains.
Well, it is, but it's also a different outfit. I don't know if you noticed, but it was the outfit of what we know as Kang the Conqueror. So that's kind of what confirmed who he was, even though we knew, based on casting reports of Quantumania, that he was already Kang the Conqueror, that Jonathan Majors was playing him. I think if they had not announced that Jonathan Majors was going to be in Ant-Man 3 as Kang the Conqueror, I think it would have been like, is it going to be Kang the Conqueror? And then when we see the end image of the statue of Kang, obviously Kang the Conqueror, that's when it's like, oh, cool. But I think because we knew the casting, I knew as soon as he opened the elevator doors and he was standing there with the apple that it was Kang. Or at least a variant of Kang. So
I mean, like, I had my suspicions, but I don't know much about this Kang character. Because I could do like a live deep dive of him right now.
I don't think we need to. Marvel. I think the problem with this is, I think the less we know, the better. And I've learned that with WandaVision, Falcon Winter Soldier, now this.
Right, I know.
Like I think it's just cooler to know less, but we do know that this is a variant of Kang, just because he is confirmed to be playing Kang the Conqueror in Ant-Man 3, so it's assumed
I didn't even know that. I didn't even know that about Ant-Man 3.
Yeah, so Jonathan Majors is Kang in the MCU, which means that this is most likely a variant of Kang that just died. But the question now is, do you think Sylvie sent Loki to this other timeline, or do you think Kang had some sort of plan? Like, how do you think Loki ended up in this timeline? And is this an alternate timeline? Or is there something else going on?
See, at first, I thought that because they killed the guy, that our timeline changed, the one that we were in from the beginning. Right. I thought that everything just changed. Because during my first watch, I was like, oh my God, like everything's different now. Like Mobius doesn't know who he is. But then I was like, oh, but we see a shot of Mobius and B-15 at the screen. So they're not in the library. When Loki in the real timeline, they're at the screen and they're still on the mission of ending the TVA and seeing what happens. Where this Mobius and B-15 is like, oh my God, these timelines, these branches, like we have to do something. So I think that I don't know. I really didn't think that Loki getting sent into a different timeline was planned by anyone. I don't think that Kang.
So you think Sylvie just sent him there?
To do that. I think that she just created a portal, whatever was, readily available, and was like, boom, there you go, dude.
And do you think her killing him is how he ends up the conqueror, ruler, statue of the TVA in that parallel universe? Do you think it would have changed?
I think that maybe he's probably just that, you know, the guy in that timeline. You know,
Okay.
I don't think that anything changed in that timeline other than all the branches happening.
Okay. Yeah. It's very convoluted, and I think that's the point. But at the same time, like I said, because I thought it was the end of the series as a whole, and because it's the finale of a season, I just wanted a little bit more closure to the core story they were telling, where it was just kind of like, all right, this is who's behind it, and then it's an exposition dump of what's going on, and then it's, oh, now you're in a new place, new mission, new everything's changed. And it's like, I guess that's effective and it's a good cliffhanger, but at the same time, it felt like it was more to set up what was happening in the future of the MCU than it was concluding this particular story. And that's why I think, as much as I think the Loki series this season had a much better consistent, you know, episode run than the other two shows, I think WandaVision ended on a more satisfying note than this. And I get it's different because this is only a season finale, not a series finale. But I was a little underwhelmed by this, only because it was like, we're not answering any questions. We're only just getting more questions added, but also like, yeah. And then Sylvie and Loki, the Sylvie betraying, it's frustrating because it's like they both gone on so much growth, but then maybe she hasn't. And it's just very interesting. And again, I'm with you. Like, does this mean Loki's not going to be in the movies? Because he's not in Thor Love and Thunder, I don't believe, because that's just Thor and the Guardians. But I think there was rumors he might be in Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, but I don't even think he will be now. I think they're going to just leave him here at this TVA thing, and Doctor Strange is going to be its own little thing. So I really don't know. What do you think? Like, what are your overall opinions on the series, the season?
I mean, I had a great time with this series. I had a great time with this season. You know, as soon as I saw Loki will return in season 2, like, my first reaction was, oh my God, that's amazing. You know, like, obviously I was stoked. But, and then at the same time, I was like, oh my God, does that mean like he's like done like movie wise? Like, he's not making any more cameos. He's not, you know, gonna be a part, because, you know, I'm even thinking in my mind, I'm like, yes, like I could see him being a part of Multiverse of Madness because of all this TVA stuff now. But at the same time, I'm like, what purpose does he really have now in the movies? You know, he's not trying to take control of anyone.
Right. If Doctor Strange fixes it, what else is there for Loki to do? Aside from getting back to the Owen Wilson that he knew and the and Sylvie. Maybe that'll be the point. Or maybe Doctor Strange and Multiverse of Madness is literally just going to be him helping Wanda find her kids. And this is a totally different thing. This whole multiverse thing is just going to be its own thing that Loki deals with in season 2. I really don't know. It's going to be interesting. So overall, this finale, did you like the finale, or were you a little underwhelmed like me?
I don't know. I think I liked it.
Okay.
I know that's kind of like weak. Like, you should know whether or not you like something. By me saying I think I liked it probably means that I didn't like it as much as I'm trying to.
Well, here's the thing. The first episode for me was just like exposition. I was like, whatever. Second episode was so cool. The apocalypses, and then the warehouse, and I loved it. And then finding the variant, and then like that was awesome. The third episode, I wanted them to include all the TVA stuff, but I liked how it developed Sylvie and Loki. Fourth episode, lots of fun. It was the climax. Everything's not real. The timekeepers are fake. Fifth episode, really cool to see what else is here at the end of time and the other Loki variants. It's a cool exploration of that. And that's kind of like your last big action sequence. And then the seventh and then the sixth episode, it just felt like another exposition dump to then proceed us to the rest of the MCU phase 4, when I wanted more of a closure on the Loki Sylvie storyline. And, you know, I feel like opening the doors and including this variant of Kang was cool, but at the same time, I'm like, I wish it was just about Loki and Sylvie and them and Ravonna and Mobius, because I think Ravonna and Mobius didn't really have a ton to do in this episode. It's like, yeah, I missed that part. But again, like, I do think this was a very solid series all in all, even though the finale was probably, if I had to rank all the episodes, the finale is my 5th favorite, and my 6th favorite is the premiere. I think because the middle 4 were just so great. I don't know what would be my top. Maybe episode 2, because that was the only episode that I was like, you know.
I think episode 2 is my favorite too.
Yeah, like that was a peak, and I remember both of us were just ecstatic about it.
But I think I'm left with the same question with you now, Dill. Is like, what is going to happen in like now with all these movies that have confirmed dates that are coming out? We have, you know, Shang-Chi, we have Eternals, we have Spider-Man 3. I believe, I could be wrong, but isn't Multiverse of Madness coming out in either February or March of 2022?
It's either Love and Thunder and then Multiverse, or Multiverse and Love and Thunder. I'm not sure.
Oh, Love and Thunder. I forgot about Love and Thunder.
And then Black Panther 2 is somewhere in there too. I don't know.
If I had my old notebook, I have all these dates written down, but I don't. I feel like Love and Thunder is coming out in May, and I think Multiverse of Madness is coming out in March. We're
gonna give you the right information.
So
folks.
wrong.
Just a sec.
Because I'm like,
Shang-Chi, Eternals, Spider-Man 3. Yes, March is Multiverse of Madness. May is Love and Thunder. July is Wakanda Forever. Then November we get Captain Marvel 2.
Yes.
And then we don't get Quantumania till February of 23.
Yes.
And then Guardians 3 in May of 23.
Yeah.
So, and then Hawkeye's somewhere in the middle of there, and She-Hulk is somewhere in the middle of there. All this stuff. But.
Because, like, if season 2 doesn't come out until, like June, because seasons usually, like, come out, like, the next year or, like, whatever. Mm-hmm. So let's say it comes out in June 2022. It's like,
that's
okay,
after Love and Thunder. Yeah.
So everything that happened in those movies, did it affect Loki at all? Or is season 2 going to pick up right where we left off? Or
it's hard because this started at 2012, and I think this happened at the point in 2012. But at the same time, they just went to the end of time, so I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I feel like this TV show doesn't exist in, like, we can't put it in a year. Because as soon as they took Loki out of 2012, boom, it was just in an abyss.
Yeah. Because
it was in a void, if you will.
Richard E. Grant, when we met his variant of Loki, he had said that he killed Thanos, right? Mm-hmm. Or he escaped Thanos.
No, he escaped.
Right. So it's like so that took place after Infinity War, long after Infinity War, his timeline. So I really do think this is just its own entity. I think it's just overarching the whole MCU, which is interesting. But again, like, I'm interested to see what'll happen. I almost wish, if they were going to do a season 2, they call it something else, like TVA Time Wars or Sylvie, or like call it something else so that this is its own story. So that way, when you watch the MCU through, you can put this in a nice little pocket somewhere. But the problem is now, season 1 and 2, are they going to work together? Is it going to be something different? I don't know. I wish because they're going to make more series about all these characters, but like I would have liked them to maybe call it something else just so it's its own thing, so we can like not have to worry about bridging the gap. But I don't know.
Well, we'll see.
It's a lot. Our brains are both a little fried.
It's a lot. And I think we're just going to have to wait until Multiverse of Madness, really, to get a lot of answers. Because...
Well, also Spider-Man. We don't know if there's multiverse stuff with that, too. Because
where are you at with that now? Now that we've watched this entire series and we know what happens, like, have your thoughts about Spider-Man and your predictions and theories and whatever have changed at all regarding...
The thing is, knowing that this is going to have a season 2, I really feel like the multiverse and Spider-Man will dive into other worlds crossing, but I don't think it's going to be because of the TVA and the timelines. I literally just think it's going to be Multiverse of Madness is my kids are out there somewhere, we got to find them, and they're jumping into different dimensions, rather than, oh, well, look, Loki did this timeline thing. Like, I really don't think it's going to be that, but who knows? And Spider-Man, I think it's going to be something wholly different, because we're only apparently getting the villains confirmed from other movies, but we might also be getting Toby and Andrew. But I'm not even going to put that much trust in that, only because I feel like that was something that was purely fan theory, because we are getting Doc Ock and Electro. Like, I really don't. I'm sorry for your forehead.
I just hit my head on my microphone. I'm so sorry if you heard the bump. I just adjusted myself in my seat and just
I'll edit the sound a little bit to make it a little less
into my microphone.
Intense. So any last thoughts just before we go into maybe one Easter egg? I only have one Easter egg. The one Easter egg I had was that, like, the statue at the end of Kang is a much different costume than the one we saw. So symbolizing that's like Kang the Conqueror. The other one was, there were two more. I didn't write down what the numbers were, but if you look in the library, in the other episodes, in the background, you see like these little like letter combos and stuff. Mm-hmm. They're different when Loki's walking through it at the end of this episode. So it is it's a completely different, because my first theory was, the TVA, like, everyone's mind is wiped. That was my first instinct, but then I was like, no, this is a totally different TVA because all the numbers and letters are different. And the statue, of course, is different. And then the third thing is, at the high school, there is a sign that says "Go Tigers," and as we know, the mascot of the high school that Peter Parker goes to is the Tigers. It's obviously not the same high school because Ohio and New York, but maybe that's just a way to say, hey, wink, 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 Spider-Man, we're getting into the timelines, you know.
Oh, okay.
I don't know.
Maybe. You have to be like a diehard who pays attention to details like that to pick up on that.
If you ever get asked in trivia who the mascot is for Peter Parker's school, it's the Tiger.
That would be great trivia. Oh my god, I think we'd stump people with that one. Even everyone on Movie Schmodown.
Yeah, I was gonna say maybe we should have people on one podcast to just do Marvel trivia and see who just ask questions to other people.
Between me and you?
Either that or we host it. Because honestly, I think it'd be... I don't know. Because I honestly don't think I'd be very good at Marvel trivia. Because I just don't have the same deep cut knowledge base. But I want to find people who watch every movie every week. Like there are people. I want to see if we could stump... I want to see if we can stump them. Because,
maybe we should make our own
or
Marvel trivia games.
I will make the questions and you can go up against other people maybe. Because you're definitely more of a trivia person than me. For Marvel.
Yeah. Maybe. I don't know. People who watch a movie every week, that's insane. You'd have to ask insane questions like how many blades of grass are seen when Peter Quill stands under the spaceship in the beginning of Guardians
it'll be
of the
a
Galaxy.
little bit more surface level than that, but that might be a good idea for the future. Any last bits about Loki before we put this season to bed?
I did notice that, I guess this is kind of an Easter egg. I didn't look into this name at all to see if it had any relevance in the MCU, but I did notice Ravonna Renslayer's real name from her timeline on her degree from The Ohio State University that she attended and got her, I guess, master's in education in because she's a
principal.
What's her name? Rebecca Corminette. I tried. It's very fancy handwriting. I know the first name is definitely Rebecca. The last name I could be butchering right now, but yeah, her real name's Rebecca. So fun fact.
Very cool. Because Ravonna Renslayer is her name, right?
Yeah, that's the name that she goes by in the TVA.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, I'm sure someone will look into that and let us know if there's any deeper meaning to her, Rebecca. Okay, so next week, we are doing something different for y'all. We are going to put on our fancy clothes and host an award show for y'all called the Marvies, right? Is that what we decided? It was either the Marvies or the Stanleys.
Yeah, or I was like, maybe we should have it do with Stan Lee a little bit. Or I don't know. The Lee Awards.
The Stan Lee Awards. Yeah, why don't we do that? The Stan Lee Awards. Here, we'll copyright it now. The Stan Lee Awards will be taking place here on the channel and on audio podcast if you're listening. What we are going to do is we're going to sit down. We have all these categories for you, like best movie, but then we've also got some niche categories like the best MCU couple, the worst MCU film, the best MCU series. We have a bunch of categories that we discussed beforehand that we approved, or that I made, that Kelsey approved. And then we are going to each come up with 3 nominees each, and if we share them, then for best Marvel series, say I put WandaVision, Falcon Winter Soldier, and Loki as my 3, and Kelsey also puts WandaVision, Falcon and Winter Soldier, and Loki as her 3 because they're the only 3. Spoiler alert. Then those will be the only 3 nominees. But say there's a category where I have 3 different things and Kelsey has 3 different things, then there will be 6 nominees. So the categories can be from 3 to 6 nominees. And then we will talk here. We'll reveal the nominees here. We'll do the nominations beforehand. We'll reveal the nominees. And then together we will decide on the best representative for that category. We'll go just down the line. All the categories will end with best movie because the Oscars are stupid and did the wrong thing. We will end with best movie because we don't want to end with best actor and then rob Chadwick Boseman of another award at the end of the show. So we will be doing that next week. So the Stan Lee Awards, it's going to be a lot of fun. I can't wait because we've talked about our favorite villains. We've talked almost our favorite heroes with a Marvel bracket, but we've never talked about the craft. We've never talked about the directors and the cinematographers and the soundtracks. So that'll be fun to rank, even though I think I know the front runner for soundtrack, but I won't spoil it. But we'll see. We will make those nominations. I'm going to write mine tonight, and then Kelsey, whenever she's ready, will send me hers, and then I'll compile the list. Yeah, just because I want to write them down. Well, I've got to go through and see what I want to nominate. But if you guys are interested in that, tune in next week. We'll have those awards for you, and then we'll plan something else for the next week until What If happens. Any last words, Kels? Where can they find you?
You can find me on Instagram, Kelsey A. Kilpatrick. You can find me on TikTok at Cause13, or you can subscribe to my YouTube channel, Cause Productions.
Awesome. You can find me at Dylan_Randazzo at Twitter. You can find me at TikTok at Dylan_Randazzo417. I got to post there a little bit more. And then you can find me at the Dill Pickle Movie Network on YouTube. I post reviews. I have other shows about film offs and all this stuff. I have great co-hosts for all my other shows. I'm doing Big Brother coverage every single week. You will get another video on Big Brother because there's crazy stuff going on with Big Brother. So the second Big Brother episode that I did just got posted a few days ago. So check that out if you're into Big Brother. If you're not, check it out anyway. Give me the view, give me the like. Like, comment, subscribe. It helps the channel grow. It helps Kelsey and I finally grow this podcast because we have a lot of good audio listeners, but we need more video watchers. So if you're listening on audio, head to video. We see you all around the globe. We have listeners, and it's really exciting. We have people in Japan. We have people in Africa. We have people in Europe. We have people in South America. We have people everywhere. Maybe we have people in Ireland, Kelsey, that'll he'll be around.
We'll see. Tell you if I get recognized from my voice.
The paparazzi, maybe they'll have to ask you to sign the notebook. So the notebook link is down below if you want to buy that notebook that Kelsey made. We are not doing any discounts on it, but buy it and show us your cool, amazing Spider-Man notebook. Anyways, I was Dylan. She was Kelsey. We'll see you next week for the Stan Lee Awards.